As parents, we want our children to achieve success or mastery in whatever field they are going to pursue. We want them to become so good that nobody can actually ignore them. And I totally get it. I'm a mom to 3 incredible boys. I love them. And I want my children to do the same thing. I want them to become so good in their pursuit that nobody can actually ignore their talent or capacity. And however, here's something that most parents do not realize, which is transformation or growth actually happens in phases. Depending on what you do, it can be phase 1, phase 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a number of phases. So it is very important for a young person to identify which phase they are at right now in regard to the challenge they are dealing with right now, so that they can identify the correct advice that they need to follow. Otherwise, a young person can never ever achieve mastery or success. So this is what we're going to discuss in this video. And I'm going to use 2 very powerful concepts to show you why transformation or growth happens in phases. The very first one is this one by John Maxwell. As you can see, this journey from survival to mastery happens in phases. The second one is created by myself for the teenagers and young adults in my coaching program to help them a 5-phase process that all the young people in my coaching program, they have to go through in order to achieve mastery. And I will use both of them to explain to you why it is really important to identify the correct phase that your kid is at right now, so that they can identify the right advice that they can follow. So who am I to discuss this topic with you? My name is Dr. I. In case we haven't met yet, I'm a former award-winning college professor turned life coach. I specialize in serving teenagers and young adults, helping them overcome a few major life challenges, such as lack of motivation, procrastination, such as lack of confidence, self-insecurity, self-doubt, and lack of life direction. And at this point in my professional career, I have served more than 2,500 young people, and I have been working with young people for more than 2 decades. And my work has been featured in a number of large national and global publications such as Forbes, TED Talk, Glamour Magazine, LinkedIn, Adobe, Katie Couric Media, Pearson Education, Inside Higher Education, and many other places. I love working with young people. It is truly my calling. So let's get started with today's topic. Transformation or growth happens in phases, and why this is something that you really must understand in order to help your kid overcome their challenges and achieve success. So the very first one that I want to share with you is this one, as I mentioned earlier, by John Maxwell. So different phases from survival to stability, success, and significance. And it is so at each phase, there are, so when a kid is like, for example, I will give you an example later. So when a kid is at the survival level, there are going to be different challenges, and there are going to be different types of advice a young person should follow compared to a young person who have already achieved success regarding a specific situation. So let me give you an example. So in my coaching program, I serve teenagers and young adults from as young as 14, 15 years old, like high school-ish, to as old, if I can say that, as like in people in their early 30s. Okay, so I'm working with a number of young adults right now, graduating from college or already graduated from college. So many of them are looking for jobs. So job market has been very challenging over the last several years. It is particularly so in the most recent years because of AI technology or the disruptions. So for example, a young person I'm working with right now to help her find part-time jobs. So she is definitely at the survival level, meaning that in this specific situation. So you do not want to, this is literally the process that I use when I coach a young person or anyone in my coaching program. You do not want to ask, really vague manner, meaning that, hey, where are you in life? Just tell me. That is too vague for them to answer. So you want to select a very specific challenge or unsatisfactory situation in their life. So here I'm using job search. This young lady, she's an incredible person. I really love her. One of my favorite students. However, she's really stuck with her job search situation. So she's definitely at the survival. Again, there's no judgment. As I share with my students in all of our coaching calls, it is always assessment without judgment. So she's at the survival level, meaning that there's no income. And so she's staying with her parents. And actually, a number of my students are in this type of situation, in the survival situation. So the next level is stability. So transformation happens in phases. For many parents, we want them to get to the top level, achieve significance, achieve excellence, achieve mastery. But it is not going to happen unless they go through phase 2, phase 3, and then eventually phase 4. They cannot skip all the phases. As much as we want them to get here, we must understand growth happens in phases. So our immediate task is, when I coach those young people, how can I help this person to graduate from level 1 so that he or she can enter level 2, right? So when you think about college, freshman, sophomore, junior, and eventually senior. So the same thing here, right? So survival is a freshman year. So you are now thinking about graduation, even though that is how many parents talk. We talk like that, but we need to understand, just like a traditional 4-year education, freshman, sophomore, senior, junior, and senior. Right? So at the survival level, something I share with my students is that when you are at survival level, you need to think about how you can actually make some money so that you can support yourself, especially if you have already graduated from college for a few years. You cannot afford to be so selective with, oh, I don't want this job, I don't want that job, oh, I don't want to do that, oh, that job doesn't have work-life balance. You cannot afford that. But if a young person at the survival level is listening to advice given by people who have already achieved incredible success, maybe someone who actually survived a really severe burnout. So they are giving advice like, hey, it is really important that you must follow work-life balance, right? You must have self-care, take care of yourself, do not work overtime. I get it. This advice is solid. It is great. I totally agree. However, this level of advice at the success level cannot be applied to a young person who is trying to find a job, who is still at the survival level. So it is very important, if you can do this or find a coach like myself, have honest conversation with a young person. Maybe it is a job search in this situation. Maybe it is about like a type of sport, extracurricular activity, or debate, or challenge, or competition, schoolwork, homework, or maybe even relationship, right? Whatever it is, a person must gain that clarity regarding where am I? And this clarity will help them identify the challenges and, more importantly, solutions that a young person should follow. So for this young person, the example I used earlier, so that is the conversation that she and I will have been having for quite some time. If you are at the survival level, you probably should not only follow advice from people who have achieved incredible success. They're chilling, they're relaxing, and they earned it, right? So they worked really hard. And you should definitely check out this video I did here, in which I explained why following your passion is not necessarily the best advice for similar reasons, right? And oftentimes, and even I believe Professor Scott Galloway also mentioned this, and oftentimes, the people who give you the advice to follow your passion, do what you love, those people have already achieved success. When they are at this level, yes, of course, do what you love, follow your passion. However, if you are here, you cannot yet to completely follow your passion. You have to be a little bit more strategic about your choices, about how you want to spend your time. You cannot be as selective as someone who is at the significance level, at the success level. So this is the first example I want to share with you. in terms of growth happens in phases. And I hope this makes sense. And the second one, and I'm actually going to move my microphone a little bit closer so you can actually see me. So the second one is a 5-phase process that I created after working and helping so many young people achieve success in their own life. And so I don't know if you can see this clearly. And so this is a chart. I can read it to you. So phase 1 is here at the bottom, and which is called self-clarity. And it is very, very important that a young person must know who they are. This is really, in my opinion, if you want, so the highest level here is just like John Maxwell, like this one, significance, the top. So on my chart, the top is success, significance, and mastery. So in order for a young person to achieve success and mastery, it is very important they understand who they are. It is really the foundation for future success. And then that is phase 1. And phase 2 is that now I understand who I am, my superpowers, my core values, my strengths and my weaknesses. So we use that as the foundation to get to phase 2, which is create a roadmap. Right now, I understand who am I, and now my next step is what do I want to do in life? That internal clarity first, and the second one is external clarity. Where do I want to be in life? And then what is my roadmap so that I can close the gap between where I am now to where I want to be. So that is the second phase. And I really want to say a few words about phase 1 and phase 2. And after working with so many young people, and I realized, and also reflecting on my own personal journey, and I received my master's degree. So after my undergraduate, then 2 years receiving my master, and then additional 4 years receiving my PhD. Let me say this. After so many years in school, by the time I graduated from my PhD program, I was still very confused about who I am, what I wanted to do in life. So confused. And in fact, even after I taught in college for 10 plus years, I was still very confused about who I was, what I wanted to do in life. And let me know in the comment section if you can relate. So that made me realize the current education system, again, I'm now trashing the system, I'm now trashing the teachers, I'm saying this as a fact. The current education system, I realize, is not doing a good job at helping young people engage in this introspective journey to really understand who they are, what they want to do in life. For most young people, their life is life by default. And I hear this from so many of my students. Why did you choose this major? Oh, I chose this major because I watch a TV show. I chose this major because my school is really famous for this major. Let me tell you, that is a wrong reason to choose a major, only because the school is famous. But how about you? Is your strength, is your value aligned with this potential major? Can you actually carve out a successful and meaningful career out of this? Oftentimes, the answer is no, right? That's why so many people hate their job. And I want to share this with you. This is something I saw on LinkedIn a few weeks ago from... Actually, this lady is a LinkedIn top voice. So you can see here, right? So, and something she shared here that really caught my attention. So she received her degree from Harvard University, which is absolutely incredible. And she also went to Stanford for B school. Again, Harvard, top school, Stanford, top school. So after receiving her education from 2 prestigious universities, and look at what she said. So she was like, wow, after so many years at school, and I learned so much about so many things in life, but I learned so little about myself, right? Not enough, like nothing introspective about herself. And I can so relate. I thank her for speaking up. And that is exactly my journey and hundreds of other people's journey. That's why I call this my own roadmap is inside out success blueprint. So in my coaching program, so this is phase 1 and phase 2 that I really help a young person to gain clarity regarding who are you, what do you really want to do, what are your core values, right? And what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, a number of things. And to really gain that level of clarity, and then we move to phase 3, which is that I help them build unshakable confidence, building that resilience, anti-fragility, and overcome fear of failure. And then phase 4 is motivation, right? What I have here is take consistent action with determination. By the way, if you're interested in receiving a copy of this, just comment blueprint below. I will maybe send it to you. And I actually have a quiz. And if you are interested in doing the quiz for your teenager or young adult kids, so just comment the quiz below and I will send the quiz. So the quiz will help your kid identify which phase they are at right now. Are they here? Are they trying to survive? Are they in the stability phase, or they have already achieved success, or they have already achieved mastery? So if you want to do that quiz free, and just comment the quiz below, I will send the quiz to you. So number 4 here is taking consistent action with determination. So this is motivation. Many parents ask me, Dr. I, why do you have... So the very first one is clarity. Okay, so if your kid doesn't even have internal clarity, so stop giving them career advice. And I say this with love, because if they don't even understand who they are, no career advice is going to make sense to them. Right? This is what I was saying earlier. It is very important that your kid must understand where they are in life regarding this particular challenge, and then identify the right advice that they should follow. Just like my students, they are at survival level and they are trying to listen to career advice from people who have achieved incredible success. It is unnecessary. It is unlikely to work, right? So unless a young person identify clarity, I know who I am, I know what I want to do, and now let's talk about the correct career path for you. Otherwise, it is going to be a disaster, right? The same thing with the relationship. I help lots of young people overcome relationship challenges because they are insecure regarding who they are. They get into wrong relationships, they're people pleaser. Unless they have a level of self-awareness regarding who they are, no advice is going to help them. And they are only going to take advice from the wrong people who are at different phases in life. So this is really the foundation. Okay, and another question that parents ask me is that, because what I have here is internal self-clarity, phase 2, external future clarity, and phase 3 is the level of confidence, and number 4 is motivation, consistent action, perseverance, motivation, understand our brain, executive functioning skills. And many parents ask me, hey, Dr. I, why motivation is at phase 4, not phase 3? So here's something that most parents do not understand, and young people do not understand this either. So we feel like motivation is something that comes before action. It doesn't work like that. Motivation is actually a byproduct of taking action. Most young people get this wrong. They're sitting here, they're waiting. Okay, I'm waiting to feel motivated. And something I always share with my students is that keep waiting. You will never ever feel like so motivated that you want to do something. Never. Because motivation will only come after consistent action. And I also love there's another compelling argument regarding passion, right? So passion is the same thing. Passion comes as a result of taking consistent action and eventually achieving mastery. That is how we become so passionate. But so many young people that are sitting here and waiting, right? I don't feel motivated. I don't feel like motivated. You know what? I share with them, you will never ever feel like motivated to go to the gym, to do the homework, to do the job application, to read a book. You will never ever feel like. You need to discipline yourself because the feeling comes as a result of the action. So that's why in my own chart. This is not a theory. This 5 phase here is not some theory I learned from a book. It is really tested and developed through working with hundreds of young people. So, and I intentionally put motivation as phase 4 because of this. Because motivation actually comes as a result of taking action. And the last one I have here is that if a young person has internal clarity, external clarity, and unshakable confidence, and taking consistent action, even though when they don't feel like it, they have mastered time management, executive functioning, planning, all of that, overcome procrastination. A natural byproduct of this process is success, mastery, and significance, just like the table created by John Maxwell. So if through consistent action, as you go through all those different phases, you will eventually achieve significance, right? And this is the process that I go through. If you are interested, this is a really, really profound process. Oftentimes, every single student entering my coaching program, they really have no clarity regarding who they are, what they want to do in life, and this internal clarity is lacking and external clarity is lacking. So they really go through this process with me and eventually achieve success. And with this map here, for every phase, there are specific advice that I give to every single student in my coaching program. There are also specific challenges facing that particular phase. So this is why it is so important. Do not listen to generic advice. It is not going to work. Something I always say to young people is that transformation has to be personal. It is a highly personalized process. You want to build that discernment. Where am I and what advice should I follow so that I can overcome my specific challenge right now and graduate from phase 1 to phase 2 and eventually achieve success. And if you are interested, and within each phase, like for example here, phase 3, building resilience and anti-fragility and developing that unshakable confidence, I have a specific whole system. So within this phase, I have like specific steps that a young person follow to build up their confidence and build up their resilience. So if you are interested in having your teenager or young adult work with me through this process to help them discover who they are, gain clarity regarding their future, overcome procrastination, overcome insecurity, self-doubt, and eventually achieve success, mastery, and significance, I invite you to use the link in the description box to apply and book a complimentary consultation with me. It is a one-on-one consultation between you and me, and I will personally review your application. So in the consultation, I will listen to you sharing with me regarding your children's or kids' specific challenges, and I will give you customized feedback regarding their specific situation. I will also tell you more about my one-on-one coaching program. Hundreds of families have taken advantage of this complimentary consultation and benefited so much from spending 1 hour with me. I highly recommend. Okay, and the second is that if you are interested, for a limited amount of time, I'm actually offering a 5-day one-on-one challenge with me. Yes, 5-day one-on-one challenge with me on Zoom. And if you are interested in taking advantage of the 5-day one-on-one challenge with me, and again, use the link in the description box and to register for the challenge with me. So on day 1, let me tell you how this challenge works. So on day 1, you and I will get to know each other, and me will get to know your kid. And then you tell me the specific challenges that your kid is having right now. So preferably 15 years old to 30. So from 15 to 30 years old, that's kind of the age range. You tell me the specific challenges that your kid is having right now. Then I'm going to customize the training content to help you have some immediate, you and your kid have some immediate transformation in as short as 5 days. I'm really excited about this. At the time of the recording, this challenge is still free, but definitely not going to be free forever. Okay, so book the call and either the complimentary with me or the 5-day challenge with me. Okay, so in summary, so in today's video, you learned 2 different models to really understand. One is by John Maxwell, growth happens in phases. The second one is the inside out success blueprint created by me. Also, again, transformation happens in phases. It is so important that you know, or your kid knows where they are, so that they can identify the corresponding challenges and, most importantly, the right advice they should follow. Okay, and thank you so much for watching this video, and definitely check out this video here in which I explain why following your passion is not necessarily the best advice, which I kind of mentioned a little bit, but I think you will enjoy that video. And thank you so much for your support. I look forward to seeing you again in another video. Bye.